with a sauce for orecchiette, which means little ears in Italian, and it's a pasta. And the sauce starts with some pancetta, which is Italian bacon. If you didn't have this, you could use just regular bacon. Onions and garlic and a little olive oil. And I'm going to let this cook down now. I'm going to lower the heat on this and let that cook down until the bacon starts to crisp. And then I'll add the rest of the other ingredients with that. So you'll have to help me keep my eye on that. Now for those orecchiette, the little ears, you want to start with some flour. And here I'm going to make a small amount for you. So I'm going to start with 1½ cups of unbleached flour. And to that I'm going to add some durum flour, which is flour that comes from the very wheat of the durum wheat berry, and it's milled very fine, so it's very, very silky. And I want to mix those two together with a little bit of salt, about a teaspoon. Now, if you can't find durum flour, you can use all unbleached flour for this. And there are no eggs in this at all. This is just flour and water. And the flour in Puglia is very fine. And the other thing that's very fine is the water that is used to make the pasta. The water is extremely pure, and so I would suggest that when you do this at home, that you use filtered water. So then, when you have it where you want it, you want to put that aside and cover it and let it rest for about 10 minutes or so. So let me wash off my hands here, because now I want to bring up a rested dough and show you how you form those. Before I do that, I have to check my sauce to make sure that my bacon isn't getting too brown. Now you see what's happening here. That's browning very nicely, but it isn't exactly where I want it yet. So let me show you what happens next with the dough. Here is a dough that's been resting now, you see, and it's nice and soft. Take it off my towel. And let me show you how this goes. So once it's rested, then you want to knead it a little longer, you see. Put a little bit more flour on your board and just knead it. Now, for a recipe like this, if I was doing a normal load, I'd use 3 cups of unbleached flour and a cup of durum wheat and a little salt. And you can make about 250 of these. Then the idea is to take a little piece, just a tiny, almost a marble-sized piece off the dough, and roll it in your hand. And then on a floured board, just bring your finger into it. Make sure that you have enough flour on your hand so that it's not going to stick. Let me do that again. The broccoli rape, and that's broccoli rape. And here's what that looks like. This is from my garden. You see that little flowerette right there? It almost resembles broccoli. That's why it's called broccoli rape. And it's a slightly bitter green. So now we want to chop this up. So let me get a cutting board. Put that on a cutting board. That's a lot easier. And all I want to do is coarsely chop this. I cook this just in boiling water. There's a little bit too much water left in this. I'm going to squeeze that right out. I want to get all that water out. I'll clean that up later. Get that all out, you see, because you want that to be fairly dry. And then put it right in with your pancetta and your onions and your garlic. Now I really do have to clean this up because this is a mess. So let me get some hot red pepper in here. This is something that you can do to taste. If you see that your mixture is a little bit dry, you can also add a little bit of olive oil. So here's my salt, and here's a little bit of pepper. Now after I've formed the orecchiette, of course, you want to cook those right away. They're not good to let sit around and get hard because they are rather a chewy pasta. So this is it. This is all there is to this sauce, and you want to let the broccoli rape or the cime di rape cook in this for a few minutes just to flavor it. And I'm going to give that just a little bit more olive oil because it is looking just a little dry. Not too much because your pancetta, of course, is going to give off some of the fat. You have a pot of boiling water ready for the orecchiette that you've already made. And here are mine, you see? Here they are. And now I'm going to take them right off this towel. Let me move this out of my way here. And put this into boiling salted water. Just lift up the whole thing, and in they go. I don't want to waste one of those because there they are. You see how beautiful they look. And I absolutely have to try one now for you. As Luigi would say, brava, signora. Okay, they're done. They go right in here, you see? Right in there. Let me get out the rest of those. I don't want to lose any of that. Okay. There. Now what I need to do is simply mix this around. Isn't this gorgeous? And I may want to give this just another little bit of olive oil. Just a little drizzle. I did tell you that the olive trees in Puglia are ancient and wonderful. All right, so now once you have it all mixed like that, well then this goes on to a platter. And there they are. There are the little ears. And all they need now is a little hailstorm of some pecorino cheese over the top.